I worked remote for the past 1.5 years as a sales and marketing consultant, closed over 550 deals and conducted over 5,000 sales conversations in general and generated over 600,000 euros for all the clients I did sales and marketing for. But right now, I'm at a point that I quit all of that and building my own business. If you want to build your business remote in a cheap way and still want to be locked in and out of your usual surroundings, then I would say Vietnam is a really good place to go to. Then if you want to go to a place because of hype, because of network, then I would say Bali and Thailand are really good. What I saw when I was in Bali, it was really easy to meet people, to meet other entrepreneurs and connect with people to learn from them. How I build my business and travel the world. Yes, in this episode of the Digital Nomad Podcast, if you're listening, watching, whatever you're doing, we're going to discuss exactly that. And let's divide it into a couple of topics. Like, where do you want to travel to if you're building your business? How long do you stay in one place when you're traveling and building your business? And how do you set priorities? I worked remote for the past 1.5 years as a sales and marketing consultant, closed over 550 deals and conducted over 5,000 sales conversations in general and generated over 600,000 euros for all the clients I did sales and marketing for. But right now, I'm at a point that I quit all of that and building my own business where we help expert founders or entrepreneurs with integrating AI, think of workflows, automations, agents into their business and give consulting on how to do sales and marketing in a proper way. One of my income streams right now is copywriting that I still do, but now we dive in to how building the business and how to do all of it while being homeless with a laptop and Wi-Fi. So let's start with the first topic, and that's where to travel to. I've traveled to a couple of places. I've traveled to Vietnam, I've traveled to Bali. Now I am in Koh Phangan in Thailand. I just came from Bangkok. I also was in Lisbon, I went to Valencia, and probably some other places. Every place that you go to has different things you can think of. So do you go to a place for networking? Do you go to a place for the standard of living? Do you go to a place because you don't have that much money and want to be lower on budget but still live like a king, like Albatross, how we call that concept? Well, if we divide all those places into when should you go to which place, I would say if you're cheap, if you want to be cheap, like cheap, while building your business, while working remotely, while still going to all kinds of co-workings and have a high standard of life, then Vietnam would be a really good place. I specifically went to Da Nang for a month. And when I was there, I could keep my head afloat for like 1,200 to 1,300 euros a month. And then I ate out every day. I went to a co-working. I took Grab drivers to go to the co-working from my hotel and had like a decent gym I went to for 30 euros a month or something like that. So if you want to build your business remote in a cheap way and still want to be locked in and out of your usual surroundings, then I would say Vietnam is a really good place to go to. Then if you want to go to a place because of hype, because of network, because of whatever, then I would say Bali and Thailand are really good. From what I experienced so far, I arrived yesterday in Koh Phangan and I was 1 week in Bangkok. So Thailand, I'm not an expert on so far, but Bali, I was there for 2 months. Not saying that I'm an expert in Bali, but what I saw when I was in Bali was that it was really, really, really easy to meet people, to meet other entrepreneurs, to meet and connect with people, to learn from them. So what I did when I was in Bali is do my podcast. So this podcast, Digital Nomad Podcast, it started before I went to Bali, but it really started when I was into Bali, interviewing all the entrepreneurs I met there. And that was the whole concept of the podcast, to meet entrepreneurs and share those stories. And now I'm switching the concept because I don't want to interview every entrepreneur. I'm switching the concept a bit more of documenting my own journey and my own lessons in a raw way as a digital nomad. So it's still Digital Nomad Podcast. And when I meet cool entrepreneurs, I would love to have guests on this podcast again, because having guests on a podcast is really fun. But in this way, it's a bit more flexible because I don't want to do remote podcasts. I only want to do in-person podcasts. Not the point of the story. For networking, I think Bali is one of the best places I went through the people that I met there, through the amount of podcasts that I recorded there. It's 100% really good. You're still quite cheap on your budget when it comes to Bali. It's a bit more expensive than Vietnam, but Vietnam is just the cheapest from the cheapest where I've been so far. And Thailand is a bit cheaper than Bali, but it's less cheap than Vietnam. And from what I've heard, the networking here is really good as well, but I haven't explored it in depth. I went to one meetup when I was in Bangkok. That was really nice. I met some people there, but not in the amount that I was in Bali. But in Bangkok, I was for a week, and in Bali, I was for 2 months. So that's also a big difference. But from what I've heard so far, networking in Thailand, Koh Phanang, Bangkok, Koh Samui, haven't been to Koh Samui, so I don't know. Koh Phanang, I will be here for 3 weeks to a month. We'll come back to that later. And I hope to find some cool, interesting people to record a podcast with as well. But I think those are similar when it comes to networking and still cheap cost of living. Then you have Lisbon and Spain. So now we go to Europe. Lisbon, I think Lisbon is one of the best nomad friendly places I've ever been. It has the most vibrating community. It has lots and lots of meetups. The standard of living is really high. You have a lot of sun. You have a lot of community events through meetup, like a lot of meetup events for almost everything, like anything happening every night. You have lots of nice co-workings. It's just a bit more expensive than when you go to Bali or Thailand or Vietnam. But then, of course, you have the European standard of life. So then I would really recommend Lisbon. I personally love Lisbon, so I'm a bit biased on Lisbon. I've been there 3 times, I think, 4 times in the past year. Then you also have Spain. A lot of people like Spain. I only went to Valencia so far, and that was also for a week, so it was too short to form a proper opinion on that. But from the people I met there on a meetup and from the people I've seen there, and a couple of friends of mine live in Valencia, they said that the whole entrepreneurial community there is not as big. Also, Texas is not the best in Spain. The weather is good. It's a nice country. If you learn Spanish or want to learn Spanish, of course, it's really handy because it's one of the most spoken languages in the world. So then you can consider going to Spain. In Europe so far, Lisbon has been my favorite city. And if you want to go to Europe, or if you want to be in Europe and still be a bit cheaper than the usuals like Lisbon or Spain, then you can go to Eastern Europe. Like Budapest is a beautiful city. I've been to Budapest and it wasn't that expensive, as I've also been to Prague. Prague is also a beautiful city and it's also not that expensive when it comes to cost. In Prague, there you have some really nice co-workings, and I know it's really Bitcoin friendly, so you can do a lot of things there with Bitcoin. If you're a Bitcoiner or a trader, admire to be in that space. Prague is a really, really, really good place to be. And Budapest, I only was there on a 1-week vacation. It was a beautiful city. I know it's not that expensive. You have a lot of nice bed houses, but I cannot tell you anything about the community there because I don't have that much experience. In general, Portugal, and no, that's not Eastern Europe, but Portugal is really good on community. I know you have a really nice one in Albufeira. I know there's a really nice community in Madeira. I've also been to Madeira. It's beautiful there. It's amazing. So Portugal is the most nomad-friendly country I've ever been in so far. And it's the easiest to find communities and people with still a high standard of living. Well, it will not cost you too much. Not as cheap as in Southeast Asia, like Bali, Vietnam, or now in Thailand, but it's good. And Eastern Europe, I don't know that much about it. I only know Budapest and Prague are beautiful, and Prague is really good if you're really into Bitcoin. That's what I know about the countries, and that you can take away from that if you want to build your business remote and want to go to a place. How long should you stay in a place? Well, in the past 2 weeks, I've been traveling quite some. So I was first 1 week in Istanbul, then I was a week in Bangkok, and I've said this before in other videos, but I prefer a bit more of slow traveling. So when you at least stay 1 month in a place, or better 2 months in a place, so you can really chill, sit down, get some work done, build up some routines, find a good gym, find some nice cafes or co-workings to go to, have some more time to network. Because what I found out that almost at the end of every trip, at the end of the trip in Lisbon, at the end of the trip in Bali, at the end of the trip in wherever you are, you find so much more things to do. Even at the end of the trip in Bangkok for a week, or at the end of the trip in Istanbul for a week, it's like you've never seen all of it, or you've never seen enough of it. So I prefer a bit more of slow traveling, where you have more time to do what you want and have a bit more mental rest, because traveling always all the time and being on the move, it's quite exhausting, and it's not the most convenient way to build a business. My recommendation, if you build a remote business or build a business in general and want to live a homeless with a laptop and Wi-Fi lifestyle, take it easy. Go to one place for a couple of weeks instead of 1 week and try to rush everything. Because as far as I know, people have this lifestyle to see the world, to see what's there, to meet people that are like-minded, to experience the world in a different way than what you're used to when you grew up, or than what you're used to with your surroundings. And it's really cool to do all of that. But give yourself some time and space for that as well. Don't rush everything into 1 week and be like the annoying tourists that is on a rush to see everything. Just chill down. At least that's what works for me when I'm building. And it's less exhausting because you're a bit more grounded, because you just have more time to enjoy and more time to work. Then last but not least, and I think that's a really, 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 really important part on building your remote business, building a business while traveling, and that is setting priorities. What I mean with that is, when you go to a place, of course you want to see things, of course you want to do some touristy things, but depending on the time span that you're there, if you're there for a month and you work during the week and you only have time in the weekend to do some things, or only in the evening, then you're not gonna see everything. And sometimes you have an evening where you just want to keep on grinding until 11. Like in Vietnam, I didn't see that much. I think I spent my time really well there, but most often I woke up at 10, I woke up at 8 or 9, and I went to the gym and wasn't done at the gym between 10 and 12. And then I also eat and went to the shower and everything. Then I went to the co-working. I was there between 11 and 12. And then I was at the co-working until 11, 12 at midnight, sometimes 1 at midnight. And then I walked home on the beach. Well, if you do that day in, day out on the week, you don't have that much time. So set priorities. If you have a lot of things to do, you have a lot of things to do. And the work you need to do is most often the work you're trying to avoid. You don't have that much time to do touristy things if you're really serious on building your business. If you already have some fundamentals there, if you already have some space, some headspace when it comes to your financials, if you already have some basic things done for your business, like an outbound lead flow, or have some clients that are going on and you are not behind on your work and you finished everything, like set up a reward system for yourself. If I done XYZ, then I can do this. But don't be in a rush to visit everything. Like, you're a nomad. You're not a traveler. And that's a really important distinction to make. Travelers want to go somewhere and see everything, and nomads can always come back. When you're setting priorities, when you're building your business, sometimes things just need to get done. and then you don't see a lot of things, but then you can always come back because that's why we have this lifestyle. That's why people admire the lifestyle of working and building remote. Always keep that in mind. Prioritize what needs to be done and also prioritize what you want to see. For example, in Bangkok, I only was there for a week and I really wanted to see the temples and the palace. So on the free day that I took, of course, I had to shoot content and there's going to be a video about that, like POV living as a nomad in Bangkok for a week. For the things I wanted to see there, I had to prioritize. I wanted to go to a meetup, but I also really wanted to go to a Muay Thai fight. I love fighting and I love watching fights, but I did not have the time to go to a Muay Thai fight because I was just too exhausted and I literally didn't have enough time. Now in Koh I will go to a Muay Thai fight because I will be here for a couple of weeks, like 3 weeks till a month. So there is more time, but that's just the way it is. I wanted to do that, but I did not have the time and it wasn't a priority right now. The priority was doing the work for the business. So prioritize what you want to see and prioritize what you need to do and set up a structure. Set up a structure like, okay, I work from then to then and then I work out, then and then I do this, then and then I do that. This is what I want to see if I have extra time, and this is what I can do or see if I done XYZ points. And I don't say you need to have a structured calendar because I don't have a structured calendar. I'm not that structured as a person in general, but I have my to-do lists and I know what needs to be done. And that helps me a lot. And I do some research about a place when I go somewhere. So I know what's there to do. I know in Copenhagen you have the full moon party and I really want to see that at some point. I know you have a lot of Muay Thai things here as well. So I'm going to do a couple of Muay Thai lessons and trainings. And they have a lot of nice beaches and sunsets and everything. So I will do some of that. But now I have time and the priority is to work, to focus on building a business. And that's what you can only do if you are in one place for a longer period of time. That's it from my experience so far as a business owner, remote builder, homeless with a laptop and Wi-Fi, nomad kind of guy, however you want to call it. There's lots of cool content coming. That's not only the podcast where I document the whole journey and the lessons I had while figuring it all out. But for now, this is it. And if you like it, if you have certain topics that you think is interesting for me to go over, so for example, I have a lot of knowledge in marketing, I have a lot of knowledge in sales. I also talk to a lot of people in that. I have some knowledge in it. I have quite some knowledge to share on this podcast. If you have specific things that you're interested in about my business that I'm building, just let it know in the comments. And I would love to get some feedback from you guys who are listening, who are watching this, just to make it better and see what you want. I quite like this casual sitting and talking style videos and try to provide value, but with your insights, it will only be more valuable. So yeah, like, subscribe, follow this whole journey. I'm excited for everything that's there to come, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.